Hi everyone, this is our video report about natural ecosystems and human activities.
Like all other living beings, humans are dependent on natural ecosystem services to survive. We need it to get the food we eat and the water we drink and to transform raw materials into everyday products. So, in order to keep our living conditions, it's truly important that we preserve natural ecosystem. An ecosystem is a geographic area where plants, animals, and other organisms, as well as weather, landscape, work together to form a bubble of life. It contains biotic or living parts, as well as abiotic factors or non-living parts. Biotic factors includes plants, animals, and other organisms. Abiotic factors includes rocks, temperature, and humidity. By affecting both biotic and abiotic factors, humans' activities can significantly alter or compromise the function and balance of ecosystem. Natural ecosystem structures and functions produce goods and services that benefit people. Ecosystem produce the air we breathe, filter the water we drink, and recycle the nutrients that allows all things to grow.
Ecosystem goods and services produce the many life-sustaining benefits we receive from nature. Clean air and water, fertile soil for crop production, pollination, and food control. These ecosystem services are important to environmental and human health and well-being, yet they are limited and often taken for granted. Impacts from human activity on land and into water can influence ecosystems profoundly. As one of the fastest growing countries in Asia, the Philippines faces environmental challenges with disproportionate impacts on the poor and women. Ineffective management seriously degrades the country's significant biodiversity resources. Water and air pollution levels exceed generally accepted healthy standards. Greenhouse gas emissions are increasing from the transport and power sectors, and the country is ranked as one of the world's most vulnerable to the impacts of environmental disasters. The Philippines' rich biodiversity is under threat, mostly from human activities, including deforestation and forest degradation, illegal fishing, and illicit wildlife trade. Unfortunately, local stakeholders who have the greatest stake in protecting the environment and the natural resources therein have limited economic incentives, financial and support, and capacity to manage high biodiversity areas. Protect Wildlife reduces direct threats to biodiversity within its geographic scope through an integrated approach that focuses on facilitating behavior change through effective communications, increasing investments in conservation, building capacity in biodiversity conservation, and combating wildlife trafficking, improving decision making through evidence generated by science, technology, and innovations, and strengthening environmental law enforcement.
Deforestation affects biodiversity in the Philippines and has long-term negative impact on a country's food production. Deforestation in the Philippines has also been associated with floods, soil erosion, deaths, and damage of property. Deforestation is when humans remove or thin forest for lumber or to use land where the trees stood for crops, grazing extraction, mining, oil or gas or development as the population increase and people migrate. Mining and illegal logging are major cause of deforestation in the Philippines. Mining operations have cleared large areas of forest land and has led to water contamination, ecological destruction, loss of livelihood, and loss of biodiversity. And the Philippines continues to experience an alarming rate of destruction of its important resources brought by over exploitation, deforestation, land degradation, climate change, and pollution, including biological pollution, among others.
Forest cover has declined over the past years because of overexploitation and deforestation. Illegal logging and other illegal activities in forest has been identified as a major cause of forest cover loss. According to the data from the Forest Management Bureau or FMB of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Philippines is losing approximately 47,000 hectares of forest cover every year. In 2003, the country forest comprised 7.2 million hectares, but in 2010, it went down to about 6.8 million hectares, which is about 4.6% decline. The country is down to less than 24% of the original forest cover in the 90s. Palawan is the largest province in the Philippines in terms of land area, has the biggest forest cover in the country. To counter the problem, the Philippine government through the Forest Management Bureau and various non-government organizations has initiated programs to prevent continuous forest degradation, such as the National Greening Program or NGP, and restoration activities are conducted in partnership with the local government units. Reforestation plays a vital role in addressing deforestation and its impact. If done correctly, reforestation can restore damaged ecosystem, stabilize soil, and support the water cycle, and slowly recover the vital ecosystem services that we depend on. Reforestation is an important tool for reducing or reversing biodiversity loss and mitigating climate change.
Okay, by planting trees in areas that have been degraded or reforestation help the environment by guaranteeing or accelerating the reestablishment of healthy forest structure. By growing the forest canopy and preserving biodiversity within the ecosystem.
Republic Act Number 2706, also known as an Act creating the Reforestation Administration, is hereby created to take over the functions of the existing Reclamation and Reforestation Division of the Bureau of Forestry.
It is well known and recorded the forests of Southeast Asia, include those of the Philippines, are the most biodiverse terrestrial ecosystem on Earth. These forests, however, face serious threats from social and economic development. The factors that contribute to forest loss of degradation including shifting, cultivation, cash cropping, firewood collection, livestock grazing, unsustainable logging, and anthropogenic fires intensified by exceptional droughts.
The underlying causes of forest problems are poverty, overpopulation, inequitable land tenure regimes, misguided policies, weak government, and debt burdens. The contribution of forestry to the Philippine economy has been eroded by massive deforestation during the past 2 decades. Pressure from a growing population, demands for agricultural land, urbanization, and logging are among the reasons behind the forest loss. A large number of tree species in the Philippines are harvested for their timber and to a lesser extent, non-wood products such as bark, resin, tannin, and medicinal compounds. forest product exports make an important contribution to the Philippine economy. In future, ecotourism and genetic resources are likely to play a much greater economic role. The number of tree species being exploited is not known, but given their value and threat they face, conservation effort must be strengthened considerably.
Presidential Decree Number 705, revising Presidential Decree Number 389, otherwise known Forestry Reform Code of the Philippines. This act lays down the basic principles of forest management and conservation. Republic Act Number 3701, an act to discourage destruction of forests, further amending for the purpose Section 2751 of the Revised Administrative Code. In the previous sections, we have discussed various negative impacts of humans and ecosystems. This time, let's discuss a few human activities that have a positive impact on ecosystems. Conservation refers to the efforts done to manage natural resources and prevent the loss of biodiversity. Conservation practices include waste management as well as the protection of threatened species and habitats. Waste management refers to the systematic collection, treatment, and disposal of waste. Waste management can contribute to conservation by preventing pollution and reducing waste that ends up in landfills and water systems. This includes strategies such as reusing, recycling, and composting. The Republic Act Number 9003, otherwise known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, it is an act providing for an ecological solid waste management program, creating the necessary institutional mechanisms and incentives, declaring certain acts prohibited and providing penalties, appropriating funds, therefore, and for other purposes. The protection of threatened species and habitats is done by preventing or regulating potentially destructive human activities such as hunting, mining, and logging, and by promoting sustainable activities such as reforestation, ecotourism, and community-based resource management. Republic Act Number 9147 is an act providing for the conservation and protection of wildlife resources and their habitats, appropriating funds, therefore, and for other purposes.